It's a busy, busy time of year, and because of that I have fallen behind a little bit. My humble apologies, of course, but we're going to take a look today at the Transformers The Last Night Autobots United. That's right, we're taking a look at something from one of the sublines. This is Deluxe Class Hot Rod. And he's kind of going to be the focus of the latest GotBot True review. What do I mean by kind of? Well, my intention is not actually to use this guy's hot rod, but to use him as the basis for a custom lockdown. I'll explain everything as we get underway in the latest GotBot True review. Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. I'm your host, as always, Dennis Moulton, aka GotBot. Please like, comment, subscribe, share. Check out Machinery of Man, the Everything Factor. Have a look for me everywhere. Why not check out Universal Collision? I have Season 2 being worked on as we speak. It's been slow going the last little while. Things have just been so hectic. And I want to start off by giving a shout out to Jason. He let me know that these were in my neck of the woods. They are, as the sticker indicates, a Walmart exclusive. It's part of the Last Night line, but the Autobots United line is exclusive to that retailer. So thanks to him for pointing this out. Oddly, we have Bumblebee on the box. I know that Hot Rod's behind them. I guess the idea is show these two friends who apparently have known each other for a long time. Hence the name United, I suppose. On the side, we're told that he's a brash warrior. I guess that sort of fits Hot Rod if you know, his kind of traditional personality. I don't know if he was so brash in the film. On the back we have nice product shots. Now interestingly, there actually is a little bit of a bio here. Not much, but more than we've gotten on any of these other boxes. Actually, I haven't even read it. He doesn't look back on victories he's won. Only the feats yet to come. Relentless warrior. Charges full force into a firefight, eager to encounter his next chance to be a hero, and taking that out of it and bringing this in. And here we have him. I'm going to adjust things a little bit so we can get a better look at this guy, and then we'll pick it up. Now, here's how this is going to work. I'm going to first kind of go through this guy as a version of movie Hot Rod and grade him thusly. Then we're going to kind of work our way back and give him a second grade as a custom lockdown. Now, I guess you can call this a 2-for-1. A little while ago, I did the same sort of thing with Nitro and Thunderwing, where I went from robot to vehicle for Nitro and kind of went back the other way to get us to Thunderwing. And I did that in episode 323. If you want to check it out, go right ahead. For me, this is not going to be my version of Hot Rod. My version of Hot Rod, or something similar since we have one on the horizon with Power of the Primes, is this guy. And I looked at this Hot Rod in episode 227. This is my custom Titans Return version. They're about the same size though, so that can sort of give you an idea of how big this guy is. He's a fairly substantial deluxe. He's a bit of a larger deluxe, which I do like. That's a credit to him for sure. Taking that out of it, here he is with Last Night Voyager class Optimus, who I wasn't that big of a fan of, though many people love him. You can see he scales kind of nicely with the Voyager, though. I looked at Prime here in full in episode 272. And taking him out of it. And last but not least, here he is with someone that I said that this was basically just a remold of. Now this is a very heavy retool of this guy. The much surprisingly smaller Age of Extinction lockdown that I looked at a long time ago in episode 59. The main difference in size comes because of the thighs on Hot Rod being a bit longer, and the torso is elongated on Hot Rod. And I'm not going to make any bones about it. The whole reason that I picked this guy up was in order to do a custom for this guy, to give him some extra size and bulk. Plus, I thought that the hands were done better, and indeed they are, but are we seeing a trade-off of kind of fixing these lackluster hands that causes another problem? We'll get to all of that. So taking him out of it. Before we go on, I also want to give another quick shout out here to Zachamus Prime. Good guy. He's kind of been waiting patiently for this. I've been doing some work with him, some voice work. He is, you know, starting to get his storytelling skills, his stop motion skills off the ground a little bit, and I consider myself fortunate to be able to lend a hand there, so by all means check out Zachamus Prime. So, paint apps for this guy. I'm going to say they're about an 8.5. I mean, the paint apps themselves are relatively accurate. Though I'm not a fan of that head sculpt, and it's been said that the red on it, if you look at it close enough, looks like the face of G1 Hot Rod, to be honest with you. So I'm going to try and get in a bit closer on that and just see if you can see what I'm talking about. Right there where the red is, a lot of people say that that looks like the face of G1 Hot Rod. I guess I can kind of see it. It's been said that once you see it, you can't unsee it. I can sort of believe that. He stands like a champion. I'll give him credit there. So we have an 8.5 for his paint apps. Obviously, the silhouette of the body is off just a little bit. Not a lot, but a bit. Again, it's kind of like lockdown. Like, you could sort of tell that it was lockdown, but something wasn't quite correct. Well, same thing here, really. Though I do think that this is a little more successful at capturing the silhouette. At least a little bit. That brings us to the articulation for this guy. Well, remember, I thought that the arms were better. Have encountered another problem. Perhaps. We're going to start from the bottom of this guy at his feet and work our way up in terms of the articulation. So his toes, they can bend forward and backward. Nothing side to side. We have a swivel below the knee, which is a little bit strange, but whatever, it still works. The legs can go well forward. Even one more? Yeah, I mean, very well forward. It's on a soft ratchet, which I think is a bit strange. They can go back, no problem. That's fine. We have a knee to 90 degrees. It's been argued that his legs are kind of thin. I guess I could see that, but I think that that's just a matter of this is the way the guy is. Some people have said, hey, he's pretty top heavy. Maybe a bit, but I don't find any problems in terms of like standing him up or anything. Nothing at the waist? No, not really. The head can go left and right, a little bit up and a little bit down. So you do have that. Then we get to the arms. Now, just like on lockdown, these pads can move. And the arm can go around 360, though sometimes it does get caught up on the back just a little bit. The arms can bend to about 90 degrees, just maybe slightly under 90 degrees. Maybe, no, I guess that's 90 degrees. We'll give them 90 degrees. We do have a bicep swivel, which is nice. Then we go out to the side. Now, some people have said that's as far out as you're getting. No, not quite. Not if you use the shoulder hinge. You can get a little bit more. Still nothing great, and he does tend to kind of knock himself in the head, but you can get, say, out to there. Here's my problem. You can't really get across his body. Not easy. I mean, I guess you can like that, but that's as good as you're getting, and it's not that great. I don't like the kind of limitation there. If you have his arm out straight like this, like you can't swing the arm out to the side at all. Like if you wanted him to be, I don't know, throwing a punch or something, he's in a melee, he can't really bring his arm back to do it. The forearm pieces tab on here, like over right here, there's a little tab and a little slot, and this tabs in over that slot. It holds all right, but it's not fantastic. I think the arms look better, but I don't think they're quite as functional as Lockdown's were. I mean, with Lockdown, granted, you still had certain limitations, but I feel like things didn't quite bang up as much. That being said, is his articulation bad? No, not really. It's okay. Just know that you might have to kind of move the arm slightly to get things out of the way a little bit. Know that you might not get every pose with the arms that you would like to get. I'm going to give his overall articulation about a 7.5. So far, for representation of Hot Rod, I think he's scoring about an 8. It's an alright figure. It's pretty good. It's decent. It's not the best, but it's certainly not the worst. Okay, so now that we know where we stand and I have things kind of positioned a little bit more so you can kind of see what I'm doing, let's jump into the transformation. A lot of it is like Lockdown. A couple of things people have complained about that I don't really think are warranted, but we'll deal with them as we approach them. Straighten out the toes, turn the calves since that's where the swivel is, and you put the legs together. There's a little tab and a hole way down bottom here. You want to turn the figure around, and we're going to kind of lift off this backpack section. There's a gray armature in here, and the side windows, the windshield, and part of the hood is attached to it. It is quite tight, at least on mine. The first couple of times that I tried to move it, I'm not going to pretend that it was fun. It was not. I felt like I was going to break it. Even now, sometimes I feel like I may still break it. We're going to lift the body off. There's a little hole down here in the painted silver, and this gray tab right here goes into that slot. Now that we have the back lifted off, we can lift off the entire backpack. So now we have this entire gray armature section in here that his head is attached to. What about this armature on the backpack where the side mirrors, the windshield, and that roof is attached to? You need to bend that forward, and then we bend this forward. Now oddly, that hood piece is able to bend by itself. I have no idea why that would be. Lockdown could do that too, and I never understood why. You need to line up the windshield with the front and the two side windows. Honestly, you just have to, because the tolerances are tight, you just have to kind of push it until it fits. It will fit. It just takes a little bit of finesse. Before going any further, there's a little, I don't know what you call it, section here that flips out, and a little section on the other side that flips out. You do need to flip out these sections or that you cannot do the transformation. Now then, that we have all of that done, there's a mushroom peg connecting the gray arm that has the head on it. You need to rotate this, but I feel like this whole gray section is rather thin, so I open the chest pieces and I turn at the mushroom peg by holding on to the head. I want to give that as much support as possible. I bring up the legs under the body and I start bringing this down. Your goal is to get the head between the legs, just like you did with lockdown, and to get this centerpiece of the hood in between these two sections of the hood. Like that. I do find that you need to kind of hold right here. After you push down this centerpiece of the hood, you need to hold each side over by the windows and sort of massage the tabs into place. They're easy to do, but they won't kind of go there on their own. They really kind of need your attention on these two little sections right here where my thumb and forefingers are. Alright, full disclosure. The first part of this review was shot late in the night. I was very tired, and when I got to this section of the transformation, I went back, I looked at what I had, and I didn't really like the way that I had approached it, so I'm kind of redoing it. Everything up to this point that you've seen is the exact same. Most of it is very lockdown-esque, with the exception of having to kind of fiddle with these front sections of the hood just a little bit to get them to fit nicely. As is well known, you need to open out the fist, and same over here, the entire forearm actually, and then you spin the arm, and you do the same thing here, you spin it. Now, this is where the new section of the transformation comes in, and where a lot of people struggle. To the point where some people have said that this just doesn't work. Yes, it does. It depends on how you approach it. We have, on this entire arm section, we have a little tab way up here that will go into a little slot up under the wheel well. Apparently on some, the tab is too big to fit in the wheel well. I haven't really noticed that. A lot of people say that that tab just plain won't go there, it doesn't stay in. I think it's how you approach it. There's also on the inside of the door, I guess you would call it now, there's a rectangular slot that goes over, if I can get this out of the way, this little black tab on the leg. So, how do we approach this? Well, you bring in the shoulders first at the top. You have to make sure that these little black sections stay out. That can be slightly tricky. Then you kind of bring it in on the side. You do the same over on the other side. You make sure that that is out. You bring the shoulder in, and you should be able to bring it in on the side. Just like that, in that fashion. Now, what most people I've seen have said to do is tab onto the leg and then push this little tab up into the wheel well. I suggest doing the opposite. Push the tab into the wheel well first. So we come here and we put that up. It should stay up. Should stay up no problem. If it doesn't, my suggestion is that you slightly have the angle of where you turn the forearm, or I guess the arm around at the bicep swivel. You probably slightly have that up, just adjust it a bit. As you put this up in the wheel well, you should feel it kind of tuck in snugly. Same over on this side. In fact, on this side, I don't have that forearm in a great position, and you can tell that it's not going to go up there nicely. So I adjust the forearm a bit until it does go up nicely into that section. And it does not want to do it there now. Now, for me, there. And you can feel it catch when it happens. Now, that being said, I suggest going in underneath and pushing the legs out a little bit. If you have everything lined up correctly, then the little tab on the leg should go into the slot on the arm pretty straightforward. This one over here is still slightly off and did not want to go in. Tab that up, tab that in. And boom, now you have that section of the vehicle mode done. Now here's where The other kind of fiddly aspect comes into play that people have complained about. These back sections. If you know the original transformation of this mold, then you know that they just kind of come back onto right here and make your back bumper. There's a couple of little tabs, one right here and one over right here. There are little rectangular slots at the top of the bumper piece, kind of in right there. The idea is that when you fold these around, you should be able to tab them onto there. It is a bit challenging to do it, and sometimes, if it's not done perfectly well, you will pop this front piece out again. But if you push it toward the back and sort of down a little bit, it will go in no problem. Toward the back and down a little bit. I find that one of these likes to go in easier than the other, but there you go. So it's a matter of how you approach the tabs. Do the wheel wells first, then do the legs, and finally do the bumper on the back. If you do it in that order, I think that you're going to have a lot more success. The transformation it's about an 8. Overall, as a representation of Hot Rod, this is about an 8. It's not a figure I was excited for, but it's a pretty good figure. It's kind of cool, and I sort of dig it. What's strange in this mode, and you can probably see it, what's strange in this mode is that the roof is a matte black, and kind of the back section here and the hood and the doors are like a gloss black. I find that looks strange. He looks sleek, he looks cool, but I find that looks a little bit off-putting. I love the painted rims. I even dig the tampographed Autobot symbol, though that will not be staying there for my particular purposes. He rolls like an absolute champion. I think it's a win for Hot Rod. It's a substantial size, as you've already seen. The paint apps are quite nice. There's a ton of silver on the guy. I think that had we gotten a more traditional coloring, he would have slightly evoked, and a different head sculpt for that matter, but he could have slightly evoked more of his current look in the comics. It certainly wouldn't be exactly the same by any stretch of the imagination, but I think that people would have been able to draw a bit of a comparison. Anyway, maybe that's just me battling on. My point is this: for the way he looks in the movie, I think this is a pretty decent success. For what we tend to think of when we hear the name of the character Hot Rod, obviously this doesn't quite fit the bill for some people. If you're into this movie aesthetic, I think he's a win, and I think he's worth getting. If you're not, then the call is yours. I will say this though: if you enjoyed Lockdown from Age of Extinction, then you're probably going to enjoy this. If you didn't, you're probably still not going to enjoy this. There aren't enough significant changes made to really change your overall view of the mold. But what is changed makes this guy overall a heck of a lot better, except for kind of the shoulder limitations. Alright, so that's all of my thoughts on him for the way he is intended to be. Now we're going to start from this mode, we're going to work our way back and see how he works as a custom Lockdown. So I went away for a little while, I got something to eat, and now I am back after doing some work with Hot Rod here. And you'll notice that in this mode, he doesn't look a whole lot different. Instead of the red highlights, we now have gold. Both up by the window and down near the bottom. That's really about all you're going to notice different here, other than, as I turn him, there is no longer an Autobot symbol. I have that currently covered over. I may end up actually just removing it with some rubbing alcohol or some such thing. Word to the wise, if you actually do want to remove some paint and you use rubbing alcohol to do it, it takes time and patience. You also want to very much make sure to clean the area very well with soap and water after. because it will basically keep working away on the plastic and potentially ruin it, and we would not want that now, would we? When last we left, we had a score of 8 for this guy being a stock version of movie Hot Rod. He still rolls great here. In terms of his coloration, an argument could be made that where I have put gold on this guy, both in this mode and in bot mode, perhaps you would want to put silver or some other color. I chose gold just to break things up a little bit, just to jazz it up and have a little bit of fun. Now we're going to work the transformation going back now in the other direction. A couple of things that I didn't mention the first time through that I'll mention as we go back now. So, where do we begin with this guy to take him back? Well, we open up the sections that make up his back end, his back bumper and whatnot. They come out to the side. Now, those arms that I talked about earlier that were tabbed up under the wheel well and into the leg, well, honestly, oh, by the way, I like that he has a full window on the side here. I haven't mentioned that before, but, you know, in comparison to the Age of Extinction version, where the windows were left out there, I like that this guy has windows on both sides. Anyway, moving on. I would suggest untabbing it from under the wheel well. If you do that, honestly, it's pretty much going to untab from the leg as well. Come to the other side and also untab it from under the wheel well. And now the arms are really free flowing. You can take them out and flip that piece in. Take this arm out and flip that piece in, and you can even turn the arms around now if you are so inclined. Alright, we untab that little front section of the hood and we begin to pick it up. So now it sort of looks like this. I'm kind of doing this off to the side a bit more than I wanted to. I'm going to back this up a bit. We can unaccordion the entire body at this point, and we can bring the legs all the way down. If I kind of jumped over some stuff there, it's because it really wasn't necessary. But I wanted to stop here because we have a hole in this gray section. That hole is circular, and there's a little circular tab in the backpack there. That will help secure it to the body. So, now that we have this done, we can now work to angle all of this piece forward. And in order to angle this piece forward, you need to detach these side windows, and you need to kind of hold on to both sides of it to do that. You bring it forward, it's on that same gray armature, we bring that up around and it clicks back. We want to turn the head around on this mushroom peg again. We want to turn the head around on this mushroom peg again. Again, it's still not super secure, so you want to be delicate with it. Now we have him around the right way. This is still kind of close. We can split the legs and bring out the feet. We can turn the leg and turn the leg. Collapse the chest pieces. Now you can bend down the first hinge up here at the neck, and there's another hinge on the back that you can bring down. You tab the backpack into that circular hole that I said, and using this little gray nub here, this little rectangular gray nub here, that goes down into the silver section here. And that will, hopefully, assuming I line it all up correctly, there. That will put this guy in order. We straighten up the head, straighten up the legs, and boom, there he is once again back in robot mode. And there we go. The last night / Age of Extinction lockdown in all of his glory. I had given the paint apps on the stock one a pretty great score of about, as I recall, 8.5. This is still about an 8.5 because we haven't really added or taken away any of the paint apps. We've really just sort of changed them. The red ones that were down on his shins, I've made them black. The ones that were on his thighs, I've now made them gold. You could certainly make them silver or black, that would be your call. The car highlights that were red, I already explained that they were gold. The head, honestly, there's just a little screw in the back of the head. You take that out, you can pop off hot rods, you can pop on lockdowns, reattach the screw, and it just goes over the ball joint, no problem. I painted the head black to match the body of the vehicle. Now, I have not done anything yet with his huge cannon that he comes with, but I suspect that I'm going to have to shave off a piece of plastic on an angle back here, because you cannot just put this stock in his hand because the forearm kind of stops it from going in. It's too high. So you would have to actually modify that huge blaster cannon thing. If the paint apps are still at 8.5, the articulation is exactly the same, that's still at 8.5, the transformation is exactly the same. Overall, this is still an 8 for a lockdown, but while I gave a similar score, if I'm not mistaken, to his official counterpart from the Age of Extinction movie, this one has one distinct advantage over the original. And this is it. Look at that rather impressive size difference. I don't know what you think. Personally, in this case, I feel like the custom job scales better with Voyager figures especially. Certainly with Prime. And makes it a little bit more convincing when you have them squaring off. Let me know what you guys think. Whether you want to use this guy as hot rod like he's intended, or as a custom job for lockdown, I think he is actually a relatively decent figure. Not perfect, but pretty good. For hot rod it's an 8, for lockdown it's still an 8. And even if you like the original, this one is just a little bit better because he does have that mass. And for me, that's a massive win. Did you get the pun there? Massive? I'm not good at jokes. But I do appreciate you dropping by and giving me some of your very valuable time. And I look forward to the next time that you and I get together for another visit right here inside the videos.